So we have this tragedy in Barcelona that happens today, 13 killed, 100 injured. Guy runs over a lot of people in the middle of the square. It's just horrific to look at. So Trump sends a tweet right away. This first one's fine. He says, the United States condemns the terror attack in Barcelona, Spain, and will do whatever is necessary to help. Be tough and strong, we love you. Good, okay. Almost presidential, fantastic. Okay, please leave it there, please leave it there. Of course he's not going to. So first, let me remind you what he said about Charlottesville, about how he likes to gather facts first. Watch.
Here's the thing. When I make a statement, I like to be correct. I want the facts. This event just happened. In fact, a lot of the event didn't even happen yet as we were speaking. This event just happened. Before I make a statement, I need the facts. So I don't want to rush into a statement. So making the statement when I made it was excellent.
So that was in a press conference on Tuesday as to why he took 2 whole days to finally say, hey, it was the KKK and they're bad guys, which on that same press conference he then backtracked from and said that there's very fine people on the KKK Nazi side. Okay, so he likes to take his time to figure out the facts. You're not going to be surprised to find out that only a little bit after the Barcelona attacks, he sent a second tweet before the authorities had called it terrorism or had figured out who done it. In fact, to this moment, they don't know who did it yet. He says, study what General Pershing of the United States did to terrorists when caught. There was no more radical Islamic terror for 35 years. So after the tweet, hours later, Spanish authorities said it is likely to be terrorism. Look, we're not naive here. It looks like terrorism. We all get it. The minute we saw it, we thought it was likely to be terrorism. But I thought you liked to collect facts for days and days before you spoke. Even before the authorities in Spain said anything, he said radical Islamic terror. Well, what happened? I thought you were on a fact-finding mission. By the way, if you say, come on, Cenk, it's super obvious that it's an Islamic terror attack because it's the same MO that they used all over Europe. And ISIS claimed responsibility. He didn't know that at the time. And they said they'd be doing an attack in Spain. That's totally fair. But it was also totally fair to say on Saturday that it was the Klan and the Nazis and the white nationalists who had done the violence in Charlottesville. You didn't need 2 days of fact gathering to figure that out. We already knew it at the time. So use the same standard. Now, secondarily, what the hell is he talking about with General Pershing? So this is a story he told on the campaign trail before. This is from, and then he repeated it again later as well. But this is from February of 2016. Listen to Trump.
You know, I read a story, it's a terrible story, but I'll tell you. Should I tell you or should I not? General Pershing, did you ever hear rough guy? Rough guy. And they had a terrorism problem. And they were having a tremendous problem with terrorism. And by the way, this is something you can read in the history books. Not a lot of history books because I don't like teaching this. And General Pershing was a rough guy. And he sits on his horse and he's very astute like a ramrod, right? And he caught 50 terrorists who did tremendous damage and killed many people. And he took the 50 terrorists and he took 50 men and he dipped 50 bullets in pig's blood. You heard that, right? He took 50 bullets and he dipped them in pig's blood. And he had his men load his rifles and he lined up the 50 people and they shot 49 of those people. And the 50th person, he said, you go back to your people and you tell them what happened. And for 25 years, there wasn't a problem, okay? 25 years, there wasn't a problem.
Do I even have to bother telling you that story isn't true? All right, let's go to Snopes. That's the website that debunks myths. They said, we haven't yet found any references to this alleged incident in Pershing biographies. However, nor does it match the way Pershing is generally recorded as having dealt with the Moros in 1911. Of course. And if you noticed in that story, it was 25 years. In the tweet, it was 35 years. And it was these Muslim terrorists. In reality, it was a war in the Philippines. I don't know if we had even the same conception of terrorism, let alone the word terrorism back then. And yes, in the Philippines, we did monstrous things. And there are stories actually of other soldiers that buried some Filipinos with pigs. So this is actually among the false things that he said. Like, wow, that's, since someone did it in the Philippines, that's almost barely not a lie for Trump. For anyone else, it's a wild, outrageous lie about Pershing that isn't true. For him, you're like, whoa, there was one person who actually did do that. Or allegedly, there was some stories of soldiers that had done that in the Philippines. So, but look, the much more important thing is, does he like to gather facts before he makes announcements? Or could it be that he picks and chooses based on who he likes and doesn't like? So, you remember there was that attack on a mosque in Minneapolis earlier this month. You know, he still hasn't condemned it. One of his top advisors, Sebastian Gorka, was on TV earlier this month saying, you never know, it could have been a fake attack. So when a mosque is attacked, it takes, and that's inside the United States, it takes months for him to respond. He's still gathering facts on that one. You know that the Quebec attack, 6 people killed, 19 injured, another attack on a mosque by a right-winger. Still hasn't tweeted about it. At the time, he was like, well, I mean, he made a call to the prime minister. And I mean, tweet about it or talk about it publicly. I need to gather facts. That was 6 months ago. So when it's a right-winger doing an attack, I got to gather facts. I'm a guy who likes facts. I got to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. Because he doesn't want to condemn them. When he thinks it's a radical Muslim that did the attack, even before the authorities tell you who it is, it's them, it's them, it's them. Facts, I don't need no stupid facts. It's the Muslims, okay? Now the reality is, in this case, it is very likely a Muslim radical. And the authorities say that it's a terrorist attack. But it's also true that it was outrageous, horrific right-wingers who did it in Charlottesville, and we knew it on Saturday. You didn't need to wait till Monday, let alone the fact that you retracted it on Tuesday, and today you're still tripling down on how both sides do it. You know what happened in Minneapolis, you know what happened in Quebec. If you had the same reaction to all of them, and you called out the Klan, the Nazis, and ISIS, and radical Muslims the same, great. That's what you're supposed to do as president. But when you say, oh, the Muslims are bad, but all my right-wingers who kill people, oh golly gee, I'm still gathering facts about them. We know exactly what you're up to. It's horrific, he's disgusting. So if you're a Trump supporter, you know he's not gathering facts. Just say it, say it. We don't like Muslims, we're bigots, okay? And I don't like the Muslim radical who did Barcelona. No one does, those people are monsters. That's super easy to say. Leave it there. No, you're not gonna leave it there, right? No, all Muslims, most Muslims, majority of Muslims. You know it, and Trump knows it, that's where you're going with it. So just say it, okay? Now, when it's a right-winger who does it, we're not as stupid as you are. We're not as stupid as Donald Trump is. We say it was those guys who did it. It was Fields in particular, and the guys at the rally who were the alt-right, the white nationalists. That doesn't mean every right-winger in the country. That doesn't mean 50% of the country are monsters or killers or believe in a radical ideology. They believe in an ideology that I wholeheartedly disagree with, whether it's right-wing ideology or Muslim ideology. I don't agree with either one of those. But the real problem is the radicals. Decent, smart people say, yes, it is the radicals and the fundamentalists that are the problem, and it is their fundamentalism and their extremism that's the problem. Indecent bigots like Donald Trump go, no, I don't like those radicals, and I'll blame the entirety of that entire ethnic group or religion for it, but I'll ignore that the core of the problem is actually extremism and fundamentalism. And if my side, right-wingers, have radicals within their ranks, I won't call them out. Or it'll take me days and days to call them out, or months and months to call them out. That's what a bigot does. Young Turks. Support independent media. Come join us at the Young Turks. TYTnetwork.com/join.